Okay, now good afternoon, class. How are you today? I hope you are all good. And for our lesson for today, the last part of our lesson about writing proofs, and I will going to discuss about indirect proof. Okay, before we start, let us first read our learning objectives about indirect proof. Number one, define indirect proof. And for number two, write a formal arguments as a series of statements that make up a proof about indirect proof. Previous lesson, we discussed the types of proof. Number one is the direct proof, and then under that direct proof, the informal and the formal direct proof. Informal proof, this is a paragraph form, and informal and formal direct proof, we have two column form and the flow chart form. Now, I will discuss indirect proof, and this is proof by contradiction. First, let us define an indirect proof. An indirect proof begins by assuming that a statement is not true and then show that this leads to a contradiction. That is the meaning or definition of indirect. Also, an indirect proof is usually written in paragraph form. Kapareho to or the same to dun sa direct proof na informal, which is paragraph form. But the opposite of the statement to be proven is assumed true until assumption leads to a contradiction. Difference in dun sa direct proof na paragraph form to the indirect proof, yung magle-leads to into a contradiction. So, iko-kontra or kokontrahin natin yung mga statements o yung assumption natin. So, we have now the illustrative example. We have now given, ito dito, M not parallel to N, or line N not parallel to line N, and to prove that angle 1 not congruent to angle 3. So, makikita natin dito sa ating given and prove na mayroon siyang not parallel and not congruent because this is a indirect proof to a contradiction. So now in our figure, we have two lines got a transversal line. Line M and line N. So yun nga dahil nga siya kumbaga contradiction, so not parallel siya. I-assume natin na lalagyan natin na not parallel yung line M and line N. Also, yung angle 1 is angle not congruent to angle 3. Okay, now this is the proof. Again, yung given natin, ito yon, and yung ipoprove natin, and also the figure. Proof, assume daw natin that yung angle 1 is congruent to angle 3. When you assume that angle 1, this angle is congruent to angle 3, angle 1 and angle 3 are corresponding angles. Now, in parallel lines cut by a transversal, or if two lines are cut by a transversal, so that corresponding angles are congruent. Yung mga corresponding angles niya dyan, kapag yan ay parallel lines, no? Cut by transversal, yung corresponding angles niya are congruent. So that the lines are parallel. So kung i-assume natin na congruent yung angle 1 at angle 3 in two lines cut by transversal, so that these lines are parallel siya. Kasi nga congruent yun. This means that yun nga yung angle M and angle N parallel. However, this contradicts the given statement. Doon na lumalabas yung contradiction. No? Kasi ang ating given is not parallel. Pero, sa ating inassume na congruent yung angle 1 at angle 3, so become the line M and line N are parallel. Since the assumption leads to a contradiction. So yung assumption natin nag-lead sa contradiction dun sa ating ipoprove not congruent. Congruent must be, the assumption must be false. So yung assumption natin magpo-false yan. Kasi nga iba yung ating given at iba yung prove na nag-contradiction siya. Therefore, yun nga yung angle 1 not congruent to angle 3. So that is a brief explanation about indirect proof. The given line M and line N not parallel. So, we need to prove that angle 1 and not congruent to angle 3. So, pinaka-simple explanation ay i-kontrahin lang natin. Babaguhin lang natin kung not equal, not congruent, gagawin natin congruent. And then, of course, kailangan din natin yung mga postulates like yung theorem or yung ating properties of equality and congruence. Like itong if two lines are cut by transversal, so that corresponding angles are congruent, so that is a parallel line. Parallel line cuts by a transversal. The example above and in the succeeding lessons na discuss natin yesterday, and you will notice that some of the steps in proving are not shown. So, hindi pinakita doon yung ibang mga steps, no? From hereafter, the concise version of proof only includes the drawing of the figure, the given, and the proof with statements and reasons. So, yun lang yung madalas natin nakikita lagi. Now, for our group activity, this is the given. Triangle JCP is isosceles with vertex angle C. Now, we need to prove that angle J congruent to angle P. Ito yung ating figure. So, we have here the answer box. A, two congruent sides. Angle J not equal to angle P. Angle J congruent to angle P. So, we have tatlo lang naman ang ating ipipill dyan na blank. So, yan yung ating group activity na gagawin ninyo. For that, you need to remember that a proof is a sequence of true facts, statements placed in a logical order. Also, a direct proof requires a statement of premises and the use of valid forms of reasoning to arrive at a conclusion in the simplest way without need for any assumption. Also, an indirect proof begins by assuming that the statement is not true and then shows that this leads to a contradiction. Proofs can be written informally using paragraph form or formally using two-column form and flowchart form. Also remember the steps in proving. Read and understand the theorem. Number 2, draw a figure and label the parts correctly. Number 3, state the hypothesis as given and the conclusion as proved. Number 4, write the proof which consists of the statements and reasons. And also, remember that there are no fixed rules in writing a proof. And there are several ways a statement can be proven from a given set of information. I hope you will do your activity and pass it on your own time. And for that, thank you and goodbye.